Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us on My Biggest Blunders, Failing Forward, a platform where we invite amazing people who are doing amazing things to come and tell us that amazing thing that they do, there were quite a lot of blunders behind. And today is no exception. And she's been hunting that she wants to be on this platform.
Oh my God, you have to put me on the platform.
But we are here.
Of course.
Yeah. So Itu, thank you so much for joining us. So you'll tell us what this ItuSue is. It like a stage name?
Listen, what's I getting it was and then I came to Gauteng, Peter Morgan, now when you're not Mulovedu, Abelina Lagadio and Suzan Itumeleng Motseo. I'm like, hell no. I want to turn it into
How
a
you
brain
go,
name.
Suzan?
Oh, Suzan the fella. Oh, God, I'm going to turn it to a brain name. Then I took both Suzan and Itumeleng and put it together to make it ItuSue. Then that became my brand name ever since. So that's how ItuSue was actually created. It was the combination of both my names. And I'm like, I want to know at least get like a pair of
So from Blunder?
Yes,
okay. From
Blunder, but born and bred in Limpopo, Palabora. So I was born and raised in Palabora. Yeah. But my parents have always been Kozani. Okay. So we always stayed to Koko because my grandfather used to work for Score Mine. So he had a house there, it was called Kishini, much better than Kozanin Komagayoni. So I think that was then a better platform for us to be raised in, or an environment to be raised in. So, and you know, man, so we stayed with my grandmother. I go Palabora, went to school, Palabora, went to boarding school in Mpumalanga at a school called Hoedspruit Independent School.
Hoedspruit? In Hoedspruit?
Yes, in Hoedspruit.
Oh.
Yes.
Fancy.
So, a little bit, hey,
oh yeah, no.
You know. So I went there to do my high school, matriculated, go Hoedspruit Independent, then came to Johannesburg to pursue my career in engineering.
Oh, okay. Why am I hearing this for the first time?
No, because I don't tell people.
Okay, so tell me more. So what engineering is this way?
Listen, I came this side, and I think it was also a lack of information. When you're growing up, as much as Nikitana, as much as also I went to Meridian College from my standard 6 up to my standard 8. It was school, you would actually expect that don't have enough information. But funny enough, I didn't actually know a lot of variety of this career platforms that I could take.
So you went to Meridian?
I went to Meridian College.
We had somebody from Meridian, Moronga, yeah.
Moronga, maybe I know Moronga, but I went to Meridian College in Palabora.
Okay.
Because there's Meridian College also in Zani.
Oh, yes.
And
yes,
also
yes.
in Polokwane.
Oh,
so
yes.
it's different.
Oh, there's different, yes. Is there one in Pretoria? Is it where it started?
Sure.
Okay, okay.
So I went to Meridian College, and you would expect us to at least be a bit woke because I was in qualification, you know. But I actually didn't have enough information about what career I want to go into.
Okay.
So because I was good with math and science, then my father wanted me to do mechanical engineering. Actually, he wanted me to do electrical engineering. Yeah. But because I was a little bit of a tomboyish, all my female friends are doing electrical engineering, I'm going to do mechanical engineering. That's when I came to Pretoria.
Mechanical?
Mechanical. Listen,
okay.
So I came here, I went to Pretoria, went and registered, and when I was in my second year,
Which university?
TUT,
okay.
Yes, did my first year, my second year, I failed dismally. And that's when I realized that there is intelligence in terms of environment as well.
Yeah.
So where I was, it was quite easier for me to be identified as the smartest child or smartest student in the school. And I was able to acquire good marks to qualify me to get into the system. But when I got here, I wasn't used to the system of having to study on your own. And then only there's no teacher here.
You're on your own, basically.
Yeah, you are on your own. So it was the environment was quite a challenge for me, and I think also I lost a bit of interest into what I wanted to do, because now I'm getting used to the idea of there's more than engineering that you can do, or just being a doctor. There's communications, and I'm starting to think I would love to do communications.
Yeah.
And later on, I'm thinking, how would I love to be a journalist? So I'm realizing that actually the career that I've chosen won't allow me to put on my nails. And it's not actually also in line with my personality or what I really want to do. I enjoy having conversations with people.
Yeah.
So I felt this money, and as expected, my dad was extremely angry.
I can imagine.
And he gave me a year in Pretoria to say, for a year, we're going to pay for your accommodation and food. But after a year, if you don't come up with a plan for your life, you're coming back home. Remember, I'm from a family of 5 girls. I'm the second child. So there's other 3 siblings that needs to be taken care of. As much as I'm not from a family that was lacking much, because my parents, I think they did quite good by taking care of us, taking us to good schools. But they didn't have more than enough that I could just waste time on.
True.
So on that year, I decided to go and register for project management at Boston College. And I graduated with cum laude, and from there the principal.
But what was different this time?
What was different this time is that I think it was what I wanted, and also because I had limited luxury in terms of time, and also there was, you either turn left or right, and you have to make a decision. I think that tough love from my father in particular was quite what I needed, to say it's either you go back home or you stay here. And I hated the idea of going back home. I've always wanted to be an example to the community that I came from the sisters that I have as well, because the younger sisters, they look up to me as well. So I can't afford to make certain mistakes. So, and also I think those were the most important reasons why I had to take it serious, because I knew that this is my last chance. And I did well also because I think I gelled well with the course. I realized it's about creating things, whether it's systems, whether it's whatever kind of a project. This is exactly what I want to do. I want to produce and release out there. So it became one of the best or one of the courses that I enjoyed. From there, I was able to work at a company as a company secretary, and for like around 6 months. In that 6 months, then I got a call from the college that they're going to submit my name to CSIR because it's supposed to be. So that's how, and that was basically because I was one of the top students at that time who graduated within the course requirement that was needed for the job. Then I was able to then get my first job as a project coordinator within the CSIR, and that then exposed me to the world that I actually wanted to get into, where we work on projects, we create things, I interact with people, and it gave me access into the corporate space where I got to learn a lot of things that prepared me for the entrepreneurship journey.
Okay. So you are working in projects, CSIR.
Yeah.
I mean, it would have been a waste for a cum laude student to be a secretary, wouldn't it?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think we underestimate the importance of starting.
Okay.
And starting at a levels that are not usually something that you'll be proud of. Okay. I've seen exceptional secretaries who are holding companies by 2 hands. Without them, it will crumble. Yeah. And I think also that position taught me the life or the importance of running administration, which is one of the most important aspects of business. And I was also able to understand what time management is, and also managing other people, which prepared me into my leadership position that I'm in right now. It would have been a waste if we were to put it in the context of the kind of level that we have put success as, especially in the Black community. We think success is driving a big car, having a CEO or management position, but we don't look at the impact that it has and also the preparation that it prepares you for the next level. So I think it would have been a waste if it was in that context, but if we were to look at it into, does it take me further in becoming a
So it's a stepping stone.
Yeah, it was a great skill for me to have. Yeah.
Okay. So it's CSR, and you love clothes, and now you're no longer a tomboy.
Yes.
So how do you navigate CSIR and the brand ItuSue collections?
The funny thing is, ItuSue collection at that time didn't exist.
Okay.
So what existed was that before I even failed at the TUT level. I already registered my first company. I was 19. So I registered my first company called Sugar Plum Events and Other Projects. I had no idea what I was doing. All I knew is that I wanted to be independent, be into the business. What kind of business? I had no idea. So what came natural to me was events, because I knew, oh, okay, I can actually just do catering. But I'm RFQ, and then I submit. And actually, it was during the time of your BEE.
Yes.
So I was like, you know what? This is the right time for me to just register a company. The other funny part is I didn't even know that you should have a business account. I thought most a personal account my business with that my personal company. So I had a company way before I even got into the corporate space. And going into the corporate space was because you went to school and it is expected that then you go and get a job. Because it's also very essential that I take care of myself while my parents are taking over my other siblings. You see, so that's how I then navigated towards even being able to have ItuSue collection right now. So the ItuSue collection was a build up of my interest in the fashion industry, me loving the clothes, and me knowing that, you know what, it's more connected to me owning something again. So I owned the ItuSue, the Sugar Plum Events and Other Projects, which was a company that existed, but it wasn't doing so much great because I wasn't paying much attention to it. And then years later, then I found myself having to have the chance to launch my own clothing brand. And that's when ItuSue collection came into place. I was like,
what gave you the idea to do the clothing brand? I mean, not everybody who loves clothes start clothing brands, right? But for you, what was the thing that I want to do my own collection?
My own collection. I think it is because I wanted to just change a little bit of the narrative when it comes to the fashion industry. Mostly it is just about the clothes. For me, it was more on, I wanted to talk about the confidence of women when it comes to the clothing, because I know the significant role that it plays in me becoming a business person as well. That how I look represents what I'm going to say. It's actually very important. So it was also connected to that as to how do I then add value in the business space on top of the skills that I have. And one of them was to create clothes. You know, one of them was to just draft ideas and conceptualize the idea of clothing. And the funny story, when I launched ItuSue collection, my aunt that I grew up with called me, oh my goodness. By the way, I'm still wearing uniform going to school. And she would say, you would go to school, come back with a very same hairstyle, change at all. Because I've always been so intentional about how I look. I wanted to look different. You know, so I think that's another thing. And at some point I remember going to town and I was wearing my grandmother's very old dress that was in her wardrobe. I looked and it was inspired by my Fikizon. I even had gloves on it. And when I was walking in the mall, everybody gave me that attention that I actually loved. And I realized that, you know what, one day I'm actually going to own something of my own. And that's how ItuSue collection was.
How old is ItuSue collection?
ItuSue collection is currently 4 years. Yes, it's now 4 years.
So how does it work? You get clothes somewhere, you tailor make your clothes, how does it work?
I love collaboration because I'm a woman who's involved in quite a lot of things. I'm able to then work with talented young creatives that are fresh from school. So those are the people that does the tailoring work. I'm more of the creative director of it, where I come up with the looks and the design and the fabric that I wanted to be used for a certain look. We are not at a place where we are able to then pattern our own clothing material. So therefore we outsource it, and then where we have the material, then we're able to create it into garments that we want.
So how great or how high has this thing become? You know, how successful, if you were to say, you know, at some point we were sold out, or we had a huge order book, or how successful has this been?
I need to be honest that I underestimated how successful it can get, or I overestimated it. We define success in different ways, and for me, when it comes to my business as ItuSue Collection, it's successful in other aspects, and others is not. When it comes to the branding and positioning it very well into the market, I think we've done very well. We're able to be endorsed by our local celebrities who are wearing our ItuSue Collection, especially our winter range. However, when it comes to the monetization part of it, I don't think we've done very much well in it. I think part of it is because not having enough knowledge when it comes to the fashion industry itself. It's a specialized industry. You need certain skills and knowledge when it comes to that. So then we have to grow into that aspect. And also I think that was the reason why I wanted to collaborate with those that have gone to school for it, especially the fresh, educated young girls and boys who are working on the fashion industry side. And that's how then we are starting to then grow as a brand that is able to monetize this brand that we have. I don't think we've been very much successful when it comes to that aspect.
But I would have thought the brand being out there, being recognized will result in the financial flow.
That is an expectation.
Okay. What's the disconnect?
The disconnect is the fact that
do these people see, don't buy? What's happening?
Well, I think you need to advocate the value that it brings.
Okay.
Because I don't think people have a problem with pricing.
Yeah.
People just want to know, how will this advance my life?
Okay.
How fast can I get it? For instance, also talking about the production side of
Yeah.
things. But I think the disconnection, it was the fact that it requires a lot of capital that I didn't have.
Okay.
So therefore, I had to work on a very lower scale when it comes to the production and then reselling and also reinvesting the money back into the business. So that then takes longer for the business to be very much successful, if you have to use the word, when it comes to the financial visibility side of things. So I think that is where the disconnection is, where you're thinking, because I've got a great garment, because I've got a beautiful design, therefore people are going to buy. But then that's where you go back into understanding who is your market, and you segmented it, and you do more research about it. I think one of the things that lurks in the entrepreneurship space, particularly for the Black entrepreneurs, is a lack of research. And maybe it's because the term might be a little bit of a foreign to us.
It's intimidating.
It's intimidating.
It's for academics.
Yeah, you're thinking, I'm an
research.
PhD. This is for PhD people.
Yeah.
And then we don't get to know where to start. But then that's also where it starts bringing in the idea that you need to collaborate. Maybe you need to just outsource certain parts of your business and have PhD people come and do research for you.
Yeah.
So I think that's where the disconnection was, the lack of research, the lack of capital investment into the business itself, and also the fact that I was personally not investing, but there's a lack of a better word, I'm going to use investing into the business financially. I thought once people see it being beautiful and looking great on me or any model that I'm using, therefore they will buy. So I think that is where the disconnection is. You're thinking that when the business is great on paper, then it's going to be great in the market.
Especially with fashion, because fashion is it's an aesthetic thing, right? People see.
Correct.
And I would like to believe that there are quite a lot of brands that are good products but didn't succeed because maybe the owner lacked a certain step to taking it to the people.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And I've seen some average brands really but people buy them.
Yeah.
So it's not just the fact that you have a great product that people will buy, especially in fashion. There has to be, I don't know whether it's a story.
Yes, there must be some self-identity connected to that. And I think that's the level that we're going to be taking ItuSue Collection actually. The plan is to pattern the material that it tells a story. I think especially as African entrepreneurs, we have stories to tell, and we tell them through music, through fashion, and that is the other part that I lacked in the beginning when I launched the brand. To not understand that it is the story that sells and
People buy
not
stories.
the product.
Yeah.
So that's what I got to learn over the years that I've launched the product.
Yeah, because people buy the story. If they buy the story, they buy the
They
product.
buy the story. I mean, you look at other brands, the great brands that we have, it's more about where did this come from. Maybe it's connected to your culture, your identity, your background, how you grew up, or how you actually envision the new South Africa, if that's what you have to call it. Then it becomes more sentiment to other people. People buy the story, something that they relate with. So I think that is another disconnection when it comes to the fashion industry, whereby you think because I'm talented enough to create a garment, then it's good enough. It goes beyond that. It must be something that I identify with.
Okay. So what would you say is your blunder?
My blunder, I think the first one. I've got so many.
Okay, let's go.
I think the first one was just to be too optimistic. As a young
aspirational.
I'm very aspirational, and I know that I'm smart. Remember, I'm an overachiever.
Cum laude.
I'm smart.
Yes.
I'm able to. Man, when you ask me a question, I'll answer it from top of my head. So because I've always had things easy, or I've always been a solution person behind any confusion, then that means I'm a need efficient thing, I can do it, or I can even start a business anyhow. But then I realized later that it doesn't matter how smart you think you are. You need to research, you need to learn. And I think also in the very same breath, I underestimated the importance of education when it comes to the field that I want to get into. Especially, let's say the
Give me an example. What happened? If you were to, what made you realize that?
There was a time I got an order for suits. I'm wearing
I can only really see where this is going. Okay?
Listen, because it brings for suits. And and because I'm very overly confident, or I come across as such, then I'm like, most definitely we can do that for you. We can definitely create a suit for you. How would you want it to look like? Little did I know that it's also a very specialized kind of cut and this and that. And I took the order. It was more than 5 suits. And also, I'm like, no, we can do this in I'm used to making dresses. It takes us a week, And I'm like, we can do it at this short period of time. So I also underplanned how to deliver to this client. And when I went to the tailor, I got to realize that none of the ladies that I work with are good or understand how to make a tailored suit. And we delivered a suit that did not fit the client at all. This client has already paid a deposit. This client is already expecting a high quality suit, because I was wearing one, but it was not made by the people that are going to make the suit for her. So that was a huge blunder, because then we had to repay the money back that we didn't even have, remain with material that we will not be able to use. And I think the worst thing about that experience was the fact that even the people that were supposed to be, or the tailors behind the scene, could not even say no to me, because this was our first big project. So that hindered my confidence. That made me recalculate whether I'm actually good for this or not. And also I got to realize later on that I undercharged this client. Hence, he was also thinking, okay, so you can make me a suit at this amount. And I said, we went for more than one suit, because the quantity then allows him to just buy, because we under
if you sell a Mercedes-Benz, Toyota Corolla, no offense to Toyota,
not offense,
I would want 5 Mercedes-Benzes.
Exactly, that is essentially what happened. And that was the biggest blunder when it comes to ItuSue collection, that hit my pocket, hit my confidence, and also made me question my leadership skills.
Here's an order, you gave your tailors to do the thing. They are done. You go there, you check. What's happening?
Remember, when I mentioned underestimating the importance of education as well, to empower myself with knowledge about the fashion industry when it comes to the behind the scene in tailoring and knowing the machine.
Yeah.
Now here I am, I'm the quality checking a product that I have
no
quality standards on.
Yeah.
Then I take the very same product to present it to the
So what does the client say?
I think the first thing that the client did was to sympathize with the fact that he could see that I wasn't aware that I have not produced a product.
So you don't know that you don't know.
So yes, you could tell that she's quite young. 2, she's optimistic. 3, I don't think she knew what she was getting herself into. So she was able to give us feedback. And unfortunately, we had to repay because the product can't even be amended in any way. You have to take it and throw it away or find somebody who's going to wear it. But it didn't look good at all. It looked okay on a mannequin, but it didn't look good on an actual.
And you thought it's...
Listen, we thought everything is fine. We didn't follow the right cards. We didn't do anything right. Remember, I also enjoy working with the newly graduates, and secondly, also they lack experience. So and the other reason behind that is because I can't afford an experienced tailor. So I'm using the ones that I can afford.
Given that you've undercharged.
And exactly, given the fact that I've also undercharged. So those were the things that happened where you're thinking about the experience.
Oh my word.
And she had to then say, well, you can see, because the outfit did not fit her. They didn't fit him. It was a gentleman. So he had to say, like, you can see doesn't sit well. He was tall, first of all. The cut on the trouser was just way too short.
Don't touch.
Oh
my word.
And now the jacket as well, at the back, it's just...
So you are seeing this thing, you're experiencing
I'm
this
experiencing this with the client because I'm here to deliver the product. And it's like, well, you can see it didn't come out all right. So I think what we can do in the meantime, go and improve yourself. That was the feedback he gave us. I think go and improve yourselves when it comes to making suits, because it's not just a simple design. And I do believe that maybe in the future we can work together, but for now it is not a well-off investment into what I thought I would get. So going forward, I think for now we will just have to return the money, the deposit, and I truly believe you guys can improve. It was a huge failure.
How did you feel?
I'm not used to negative.
Yeah, I mean you're
I'm not used to. I would do debate at school. I did pageants. I did Sarafina. You know, I'm always used to delivering. And here I am, I'm being told that what I did is bad. And not just being told, I'm experiencing that it is bad.
You can see.
It did. And by the way, I'm quite young. And I was very excited about the fact that now I know how to look good in clothing. So therefore, my people are going to look good and feel good the way I want them to feel. And the fact that I was used to a female body and not a male.
Oh yes.
So now we're going to a different segmentation of customers that we didn't even research as to how are we supposed to deliver this product to them. So first of all, it just made me feel bad about myself, or made me question if really this thing of business, especially the clothing one, it is for me. Mind you, I've done events before, so I'm quite good with delivering events. I'm experienced when it comes to delivering events. It doesn't take me much to deliver an event, because that is it's a project management kind of a thing related to the course that I passed very well on. So now with this one, it was that, and the second thing was, now what do I say to the tailors, because I quality checked the product and I said it's okay. So now I start coming across as, you are not as good as we thought you are. And as a person that we're looking up to tell us about the mistakes and fix here and there, you are not as knowledgeable. Actually, we are more knowledgeable than you. And I just having to learn through that experience and just take it with a pinch of salt, and also having to go back and look into my own savings and pay the client and be left with no money for the next project. So that means I'm taking money that was meant for another client and I'm paying a client because of the mistakes that we've made. So that was hard. I don't want to lie.
So you get home, you come from, you're being told what you're told, you get home.
I don't even tell anyone in the house. Because I'm thinking about that. When no drill mistake almost and I come from a family comedians kind of like.
Yeah.
They would laugh at you so bad that you would end up thinking, this is not for me. So I'm like, I'm not telling any of my sisters, I'm not telling any of my uncles what happened. I'll keep this to myself.
Until when? Do they know?
I've never told them this.
So
never seen it.
So they're hearing this for the first time?
They're hearing this for the first time.
Oh my word.
I've never told anyone in my family about this experience. And I remember my mother one day, she was like, you must make an outfit for a friend of mine. It was right outside. I'm thinking, yo. I had to make as many excuses as I could. I can't, guys, you guys are in the popo. Get the movie, the popo, the jelana kono. No, that wasn't the case.
They don't know.
I was afraid that I will repeat the same mistake because now I'm still my self-esteem has went low. You know, I have to now regain it back, and that's when I started looking for qualified people to advise me when it comes from the fabric side of things. To say, no, this fabric won't do this won't do that, because then I don't know that part. I can't be a master of everything. Currently, I'm even telling myself that I'm going to enroll into a school where they will teach me the basics, so I understand this business that I want to invest my time and money in. So yeah, that was hard.
It feels hard.
It still feels hard because I lost money. I love money more than anything. More than my kids.
Yeah.
But sometimes I might sell them.
How do you bounce back from something like that? Have you bounced back?
I have. I think I draw strength and confidence from the story. In a way that now I know that it was necessary for me to go through that experience. Because if I had not, and if that kind of a mistake was to meet with me now, I don't think it would. I think it would have really hit me harder now that I've worked so hard on the brand. You know, so I think that experience was quite good. It was preparing me to be as good as I am trying to be now. And how I bounced back, I think it was just through, getting more orders, people trusting the work that I do, and also being honest with my clients that should I make a mistake, I'm willing to fix it. Because I think that's another thing about us entrepreneurs. We're not willing to come across as ordinary human beings who can make mistakes. We don't want to accept the fact that mistakes is part of your journey to success. The blunders are supposed to happen in order to prepare you for the next project. So I'm able right now to communicate that also with my clients ahead of time, and even prepare us and the team as to this is how we can avoid it, and also be able to manage our time of delivery very well.
Okay. Any other blunder?
Hey,
The last one.
the blunder that I got, this was before ItuSue collection, when I had Sugar Plum events and other projects. 2010, there was a project they were building a stadium. It was in preparation
for the World Cup.
And it happened that they were looking for a black female who has a company to be subcontracted to some of the work. I applied for it. The company documentation in terms of the requirements of being black, young, and I qualified on it until they came to the business account. I didn't have a business account for the company. I didn't have the SARS documents. Right now, when you register a company, it comes together with the SARS documents. Then you had to go to SARS and apply for it. I had not went that far. Remember, I just opened a business because we are going to Pro, give them 5 names, one will come, and from there you have a company name. So I had no idea that I should have went that far. Now here I'm sitting, having a project, they're telling me every phase, oh, you qualify for this, you qualify for that. Now we are looking for your banking details. We don't have them on the account. The ones that are here, the name is under yourself, not under Sugar Plum events and other projects. And that's when I was able to realize, I'm supposed to have a business account. I did not have.
Did they disqualify you because of that?
Of course.
What?
They did. They did.
But-
it was a requirement in the the tender documents that you should also attach your business account.
Ouch.
Mind you, I thought because I own 100% of the shares for this company. Therefore, they'll pay me in my bank account. Then getting I got business bank account, not a business account.
Hey, business, personal, they're all mine.
Personal, the company is registered under my name. Therefore, Charity Tanzania account.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. And they also said attach the SARS. That's when I went to SARS. But then when I got to SARS, they also told me, oh, okay, fine, we're gonna do it. But then how now? Business account.
Yeah.
You know. So that's when I realized, for Esan, lack of knowledge can be a serious blunder.
But surely you could, or was it after you've already submitted?
I've
so you
already
couldn't
submitted.
go and do these things
No,
and submit again.
Remember when Iwileta Sarse, I remember there was a friend of mine. You see this thing of asking people who don't know. So I went and I asked somebody, I'm like, but something else. I said, no, we can hear later, man. You can always do it later. And I'm like, okay, let me submit because there's due date. I do have a bank account. I qualify as, and also there was somebody else who was part of the panelists or people that were actually looking for this company who said to me, please submit your company documents. That was the first thing they wanted, to see if my company is registered. Then submit the supporting documents.
Sure. Okay, so looking back from Woodspread, no, Palabur, then Woodspread, then TUT, then Boston, then
UNISA later on.
UNISA, then there was PA, and then CSIR, and then ItuSue.
Yeah.
What lessons would you say you have learned? I mean, if you were to look at the whole journey, the mistakes, and what stands out for you as the lessons? If you were your daughters or nephews and nieces were to ask you, we want you to do what you're doing. What would you warn them about? What should they look out for?
I think for me, one thing I value the most right now, of all the experiences that I've had, is the fact that I was able to capacitate myself with knowledge through education. I think it's a very important tool because it cuts across just the product that you're giving. It also goes beyond into your boardrooms when you're discussing contracts and etc. That's the first thing that I would tell them, to try and invest a little bit more into the education that is also in connection to what they want to do. Not to underestimate the importance of it in the business world. Because I think also we are living in an era whereby we're thinking, if scholars fail, just open a business. Instead of saying you need both of them to coexist. And the other thing would be not to just have a certain skill that you can be a go-to person when they are looking for that kind of a skill. I think the fact that you specialize in everything can be a hinderer to being seen because you're part of the crowd. So for somebody to also look into how do I then, what is it that I want to specialize in, to specialize into that. Everything else will add up because we can't really just put one person in one box and say this is all you're going to do. You grow, you experience new experiences, and then you can become anything else on top of that. I think the other thing that I would want us to invest in the most, or I wish I did invest in, it's my communication skills. I think as much as I was able to speak, I wasn't able to articulate myself very well. And that goes beyond just, it also goes into the oral part of communication, being able to articulate yourself and be able to speak, because I found myself in spaces where there were opportunities, but because I was afraid to speak out of no courage, then I did not grab the opportunities that were presented to me. I think that's another thing, to invest in your skills when it comes to communication. And if I was to look at the last thing that I would say, is to understand the importance when it comes to financial literacy. I think we think because there's money coming in, money going out, that's enough. My father used to own taxis, and for a very long time he did very well until SARS came. And it took a lot from my dad that he had to start from scratch. And I think I've never gotten a chance to ask him why, whether he didn't know there was SARS or he was running away from SARS and doing things. I don't know what he did wrong. But I've experienced the fact that sometimes you can run a business, but if you want to do it through back doors, somehow it's going to catch up with
Yeah.
you, and it's going to crumple down all the hard work that you've put in. So I think financial literacy is very important. If I had known and learned about the importance of financial literacy, I might have not underquoted some of my clients.
Yeah.
I would have known the value of the products that I bring into the market and how to manage that, and also just to manage your finances throughout the business.
Yeah.
Those are the lessons that I would say somebody can take and try to avoid them. Yeah.
Okay. Last question. The weather.
All right.
What question am I not asking you that I should be asking, that you think I should be asking you? And what would the answer be?
What do I aspire to become?
Okay. Thank you so much. What do you aspire to become?
I love, or I have fallen in love with the idea of living an impactful life. And I'm saying it's an idea because I've grown into it. And I feel like everything I do should be connected to what impact does it have to the next person. Should it not have any, I don't see the importance of actually investing into that. And I think that's where my humanitarian side of me comes into place. And I think that's what I'm aspiring to be, to live a life of inspiration, that when others look at me, they would understand that it's possible. They would know that mistakes happen, but if it doesn't kill you, it creates you into being the person that you actually want to be, or the person that you should become.
Yes.
I think that's basically what I'm aspiring to become.
How is that going?
It's going very well. I think if you were to ask me, should you die tomorrow, would you be happy with the life you've lived? I'll say yes in that context.
Wow.
Because I have women in particular, I love women empowerment. I think I'm a woman. I think I am.
Yes.
And I've lived most of my life as one. Most of my experiences are over women. And in the interactions and the tenses that I've had with women, I've had great results in terms of saying thank you. And I think every time I had somebody saying thank you, that you've allowed me to speak out, or you've allowed me to experience, you've allowed me to believe in the things that I want to do. So I think it's doing well. I'll be a happy person, because every time I do anything that is of impact, I go to bed a very happy person.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much. Do you think A students should start businesses?
I think
There's a whole thing about
yeah.
the fact that it's actually because A students are afraid to take risk and they're afraid to fail.
Yeah.
They always want to keep it safe and look for the safer option, which is to get a job.
Okay.
And it's usually the B and the C, the students who I've got nothing to lose.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm gonna get an A. I'm not used to getting an A anyway, so I'm
anyway.
gonna try and do this thing. And then you power pay.
Yeah.
And then they employ the A students.
Yeah. I think I would rather say, because the business world or the entrepreneurship space requires one to have a crazy kind of faith.
Yeah.
It requires one to see things that others can't see, and being able to believe in yourself beyond what anybody else would say. That means risk takers are what are required to be in that space. So if you are somebody who calculates your risk income with your mitigation plan before you even, I think you are much perfect to become the CEO of
Yes.
that company run by a student who's not an A student.
Yeah.
Because then you'll be able to be my third eye when it
Yes.
comes to the mistakes that I might do. I think I've seen my experience and of being in the entrepreneurship space. I've seen that even myself, I have done things because I dreamt of it, and I'm like, this is mine. This is my plan. This is my dream. This project is definitely gonna come out right. And because you have nothing to lose, you are like, you know what? Whether it happens or it doesn't happen the way I want, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
But I think A students can be a very strong backbone of most of the businesses that are being started by entrepreneurs who are just passionate about the project or the field. And
have a high risk
and
appetite.
a high risk appetite, and have somebody to say, okay, this is how you digest the appetite. And that would be a great balance, and that's where education and experience, or education and passion, can come together and create a much better sustainable businesses in the economy.
ItuSue.
Yes.
Ra leboha. Le reng ka Zulu?
Yeah, thankisa.
Ah, thankisa. Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, thankisa. Thank you so much. And I want to wish you all the best in building your brand, in your career, and in MCing, because I also do MCing, and with the women that you work with. Yeah, I want to wish you all the best and continue doing the amazing work.
Thank you.
It's important work. It's impact work is important work, and it matters. It's work that really matters, which makes you to matter as well.
And money matters.
Of course.
Especially as humanitarian, I just want to have impact. But,
no, I think done right, the money will come. Done right.
Yeah,
it's not
right.
automatic, but done right, the money should come.
But thank you so much. This platform is very, very impactful. You're doing well. I've seen and I've heard that you are over a certain number on your space. It's doing well because I think we don't speak about our mistakes too often because it's discussed that we want to hide away. But I think this platform is quite important in that sense because then it prepares somebody to not waste 10 years of their lives because somebody else has experienced it and they can just minimize the risk in that way.
Don't make mistakes that other
somebody
people
else have made. Yes, that means you are being ignorant. So I think this platform is doing well in that sense. I wish you luck as well.
Thank you.
We wish you to grow beyond, having your footprint in the African continent and beyond. Because I think our stories are valid, our stories are important to be told even beyond the boundary.
Again, it's impact. We tell stories, you tell stories. If they're impactful, the numbers will come.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Sure.